the scene to tell you about the 60th anniversary celebration. Today, I am joined by Steve Freer of the Tennessee Valley Railroad Museum.
That's me.
Hi, Steve. Thank you for joining us today to tell us about the upcoming TVRM's excited 60th anniversary celebration.
Welcome to the Tennessee Valley Railroad Museum. We were founded in 1961, 60 years ago, and our mission is to preserve, restore, and operate historic railroading equipment. We're very proud of what we've been able to accomplish in 60 years. And what you see behind me is Grand Junction Station and the Missionary Ridge Local train, today pulled by GP7 number 1829. They are preparing to depart for their round trip to East Chattanooga, and this is our basic operation. It runs daily in season. Right now we're not running on Mondays and Tuesdays, but other days we are. And they're getting ready to pull out today on their last round trip of the day. Missionary Ridge Local is a 6-mile round trip from Grand Junction, East Chattanooga. We're using one of the oldest rail lines in this area. It was originally the East Tennessee and Georgia Railroad, later the Southern Railway, and this was their main line into Chattanooga from both Atlanta and Knoxville, and was eventually in the 1950s replaced with the line that you can see behind the train there up on the hill. That is the current Norfolk Southern line that bypasses Missionary Ridge, goes all the way around the ridge and into downtown Chattanooga. The reason this line had to be bypassed was because of the tunnel, old narrow single track tunnel. So that was a bottleneck on the line. It was always an operational headache, and they used this line until the 1950s before they bypassed it.
I've heard about NRHS before, but what is NRHS and how does it tie in with TVRM?
The NRHS is the National Railway Historical Society, and that's the largest group of its kind in the country. The trains get ready. It'll be a little easier to hear without the rumble of the locomotive and the generators of the coach. The way the TVRM was started, Paul Merriman and Bob Sewell, our two founders, were part of the NRHS. They were actually members of the Atlanta chapter, and they wanted to have something in this area here in Chattanooga, and they started an additional chapter, the Tennessee Valley chapter of the NRHS. But as the years went by, that was a little less important to TVRM because we were incorporated separately as the Tennessee Valley Railroad Museum, Incorporated. The Tennessee Valley Railroad Museum was primarily founded by two gentlemen, Bob Sewell and Paul Merriman. And they found each other in Chattanooga because Mr. Sewell worked at Citico Yard. He worked for General Signal, and they were working on putting in the hump yard at Citico Yard. That's when they were converting it to DeButt's Yard. And Merriman came poking around the yard, and he found Bob Sewell, and when they talked with each other, they found out that they both had an interest in steam locomotives. And of course, by this time, this was the late 50s, mid to late 50s, and steam trains were gone from the Southern. The last steam train in Chattanooga on the Southern was June 17th, 1953. That's when they dropped the fires, and there's some famous photographs of that event that they put on. Steam had been gone for getting close to a decade. Sewell and Merriman started going around the region looking for the remnants of steam trains. They went to Roanoke to see the Norfolk and Western trains. They went to Gainesville, Georgia to see the Gainesville and Midland. They went to Stearns, Kentucky to see the Kentucky and Tennessee, and a number of others. And through these railfan trips, I'll call them, they put together a plan to try to save some history. And that's where the idea for the Tennessee Valley Railroad Museum was hatched. And they banded together with some other local residents, and they founded Tennessee Valley Railroad Museum 60 years ago. And it's all thanks to Mr. Merriman and Mr. Sewell and a lot of other people.
I can't wait for this celebration to begin. What can visitors expect to see when they come?
Well, we will be celebrating our 60th anniversary over 2 weekends in October. The weekend of the 16th and 17th and the 23rd and 24th. And we're going to have a lot of trains in operation. We're going to run more local trains than we usually do. We'll have both of our steam locomotives in operation, at least we expect to. Our famous engine, number 4501, the larger of the two, and also number 630. So we are planning for them to pull alternating Missionary Ridge Local trains. We'll have other railroad equipment on exhibit. This will be the first time we'll really have on display our newly acquired Fairbanks-morse Baby Trainmaster engine that was donated by TVA. And they're in the process of putting a few parts back onto it where they had to dismantle it to move it from Gallatin, Tennessee. And it will be on exhibit. It won't be repainted and restored, but it'll be on exhibit for people to see. And we'll have other equipment out. I believe they're going to bring Southern Railroad number 6914, the E unit from the Southern Crescent fame. They're going to bring that out for people to take pictures of, and I think it's going to be involved in our night photo session on the evening of the 22nd, I believe that is. So there's going to be a lot of activities. We'll also be kind of previewing our new exhibit building. That's still in the planning stages, but for the anniversary itself, we will have a special 60th anniversary display, kind of showing our history over 60 years. We'll also have some modular model train layouts in operation from the Coosa Valley Model Railroad Club in Gadsden, Alabama, and also one of our local clubs, the Chattanooga Modular Modelers. And they'll have two layouts, so one is N scale and one is HO scale. So we've got all those things to look forward to. There'll be World War II reenactments, blacksmith. They're going to have the blacksmith club here, the Choo Choo Forge. They'll be demonstrating their old craft of blacksmithing. So there'll be a lot of things going on, and other things are still being developed. So we're looking forward to it as well.
Where did TVRM's visitors board the trains before 1983?
And before that, our main location was East Chattanooga. And of course, that's still our maintenance facility and where our turntable is. East Chattanooga Depot was the first building that we put up. And that was in 1980. And then Grand Junction came a little bit after. We had built the bridge across Tunnel Boulevard in 1977. And this Grand Junction property was all reconfigured into what you see today by the Army Corps of Engineers. They helped us. Grand Junction Station is a fairly accurate reproduction of the depot, which still stands in Tuscumbia, Alabama. So it's very functional, although it's really not big enough for our needs today. Sometimes we might have 3,000 people a day come through this facility during a day out with Thomas, or sometimes North Pole Limited. Maybe not that many on a North Pole Limited day. But if we had just known then what we know now, I'm sure it would have been designed a little bit different, but things change.
Do you need to ride a train if you want to see East Chattanooga?
If you want to see East Chattanooga?
Like behind the gates.
Behind the gates, yes. When people ride the Missionary Ridge Local, they do get off the train in East Chattanooga to watch the engine turn on the turntable, and our tour guide or conductor gives a look inside of a repair shop and talks about what's being worked on, how we do that work, that type of thing. So that is the way to see East Chattanooga, is to ride the Missionary Ridge Local train.
Huh. Very awesome.
TVRM is a nonprofit educational organization. All donations are tax deductible. Our main source of funding is ticket sales, but we also, like I said, we always accept donations and solicit those. We also have memberships available for those people who want to support us on a regular basis, memberships as well as annual passes, so that you can come out and ride the Missionary Ridge Local unlimited throughout each year. So there's a lot of ways that people can support the Tennessee Valley Railroad Museum.
Oh, okay.
You asked about the sponsors of the 60th anniversary, and I don't have all of that information yet. They're working on getting sponsors together. They haven't made a lot of announcements yet, but I can tell you that one of the first sponsors to sign on was Scale Trains, and they're a fairly local manufacturer and distributor of model trains, Scale Trains. During the anniversary celebration, they are planning for 2 separate night photo sessions, one on each of the Friday evenings of the weekends. So the first one would be on the 15th, and that will be, I believe, the steam locomotives. That will be held at East Chattanooga, and that is a separate ticket to do that. All the engines will be lit up probably around the turntable. And then the second weekend, which would be the 22nd, is the diesels, and that will be held here at Grand Junction, and they'll have all the diesel engines lit up. What other kind of train rides do we have here at the Tennessee Valley Railroad Museum? Well, in addition to the Missionary Ridge Local, we also have our dinner trains. That is a 2-hour experience of dining on the rails. Those operate on Friday and Saturday evenings. We also have our Hiwassee Loop trains running now near Etowah. It actually runs out of Delano. That's our most scenic ride. We're running the Hiwassee Loop, and you board the train in Delano, go along the river, and then cross the river at Reliance and go through the scenic Hiwassee River Gorge, and then it traverses a very special feature. It goes around a loop. In order to gain elevation, passengers are on the train as it does a full 360-degree spiral, and you go underneath the bridge, go about a mile, and then go over the top of that same bridge to gain elevation. It goes up to Farner, and they run the engine around there and then bring the train back. So it's a very scenic ride. We have operated the trains all the way to Copper Hill, McKaysville, but at this time we're not doing that until probably next season. But for now, we're running the Hiwassee Loop, and that's operated in conjunction with the Tennessee Overhill Heritage Association. Other train rides that have been operating but are not currently operating, which we hope to bring them back maybe next year, are our excursion trips into Northwest Georgia. And we have trips that would go to Chickamauga or Somerville being the longest ride that we would offer from Chattanooga. But because of some track maintenance issues, we're not doing that right now, but we hope to return to that in the future. Of course, we have our special events throughout each year. We have our Day Out with Thomas in the springtime, usually 2 weekends, with the Thomas the Tank Engine replica that comes in. We also have our very popular North Pole Limited train rides, like the train ride to the North Pole. And a lot of people enjoy that. We've been doing that for over 20 years and generally carry somewhere in the neighborhood of 15,000 passengers each season. So it's very popular. And other things throughout the years. Like this year we have our 60th anniversary celebration. So there's always something going on out here, something new to see. Air-conditioned coaches. Why are you worried about air conditioning? You don't like to get hot? The trains do have air-conditioned coaches. A lot of them have been retrofitted with a modern system for maintenance issues and reliability. Charter trains. We do offer group rates to school groups or other tour type groups that want to come and ride the train. They get a discount and special treatment. We have been doing school group visits for years and years and years. That's part of our mission. We are an educational organization. So many school children have come out and ridden our Missionary Ridge Local trains. And a lot of times we'll have visitors come and they'll say, well, I haven't been here in a while. Last time I was here was on a school trip. So we do a lot of that. We talked about annual passes earlier. Plans for the future. Well, TVRM is always looking for new equipment out there, whether by donation or surplus purchase. I don't know of anything currently on the drawing board that will be acquired, but we're always looking to restore the equipment we have in our collection. All it takes is time and money. That's all. And we need your money. We need your donations to put towards future restoration work.
Steve, how can our viewers find out more about TVRM on the internet?
You need to check our website. Track us down at tvrail.com. There's a lot of information out there, and we have 60 years worth of history, so you can find a lot of that on our own website, but also on other websites. There's a lot of documentaries out there. A few years ago, there was a documentary put together about Engine 4501. It's called And Then There Was One. That has a lot of good information. And, oh, here's something else for the 60th anniversary. John Caniglio, a local photographer who has documented a lot of TVRM history, is going to republish his book, Steam in the Valley. So he's been working on updating some things on that. It was last published in 1998, but it basically covers the first 30 years or so of TVRM's history. So that's a good resource also. We have partnered with the Southern Railway Historical Association, and we have one of our buildings on our campus that is considered the Southern Railway Historical Association, and also the L&N, Louisville and Nashville Railway Historical Association, will be moving in soon. So we have those resources available as well, so we can go back and look at some of that history of the trains in this area.
I'd like to thank Steve Freer and Tennessee Valley Rail Museum for granting us access and tell us about the upcoming 60th anniversary celebration.
We're glad you came out today, and we hope that all of your viewers will come and ride our trains.
Come join for TVRM's 60th anniversary celebration, happening on the weekend of October 16th and 17th, and also on the weekend of October 23rd and 24th, 2021. I'm Alex, and thank you for watching.